Simplification of fractions. So before you know how to simplify fractions, you need to know different types of how to factorize, because that is very much important in this chapter of simplifying fractions. Let's say, for example, we have 3a over 15. How can we simplify this fraction? Because we have calculators, we don't need to worry about the coefficients. So now 3 all over 15, it can be simplified by putting it in the calculator, and the answer will give you 1 over 5. So after you simplify the coefficients, you're going to look at what? At the variables that you have. So at the top, we have the variable which is a. So a is at the top. But now at the bottom, we don't have any variable. So that means our answer is just going to be like that. But now if you have 1a, remember you can write 1a as a over 5. So that is how you would simplify this fraction. So now let us look at if we have a fraction that has two terms at the top. So how would we simplify the following fraction? So for us to simplify this fraction, we need to know how to factorize. So the first thing that we do when we simplify a fraction, we factorize where we can. So in this case, we can factorize at the top by taking out a common factor. Remember, you have different types of factorizing. You need to know all of them before you start with simplifying fractions. So now at the top, we have a common factor, which is 2. So we're going to take out 2 as a common factor, and we open the bracket. Remember, when you take out the common factor, you're going to say now the first term divided by the common factor. So that is going to give us a, because 2a divided by 2 is going to be a. And then you move to the second term, which is 10 divided by the common factor, which is 2. So that will give us 5. So that is how we factorize at the top. And then at the bottom, we still have what? We still have 4. So now what is remaining is for us to simplify the coefficients. So now at the top, we have a coefficient as 2, and at the bottom, we have 4. So remember, you can simply just put that 2 over 4 in your calculator so that you get the answer. So now 2 over 4, it gives us 1 over 2. And then we know that if we have 1, we can just write the coefficient as what? As a plus 5 all over 4. Because now, if this has a coefficient of 1, it is the same thing as a plus 5. So this will be the simplified version of our fraction. So now let us look at the next problem. Please feel free to pause the video and try the problem yourself. Let's say we have 5a plus 20 all divided by a plus 4. So now we are going to check if ever can we take out any common factor at the top or at the bottom. Or what you are checking is, can you factorize anything at the top or anything at the bottom? So now at the top, we can factorize because we have a common factor. So we are going to take out our common factor, and the common factor that we have is 5. So after taking out the 5 as a common factor, we'll say now 5a divided by 5, and that is going to give us a. And then we're going to say 20 divided by 5, and that is going to give us 4. And then this is all divided by, the denominator cannot be factorized, so we just write it as it is, a plus 4. So now what is happening is that, you see now our denominator is the same as what? As our a plus 4 that is at the top. So they will cancel out. And therefore, our answer to this problem is going to just be 5. So now let us move on and try other problems. Let's say, for example, we have a squared minus 4a all divided by a minus 4. So now we're going to look if we can factorize at the top or factorize at the bottom. So now at the top here, we can factorize, but now we can only factorize by taking out a common factor. So this is not a difference of two squares because of this a here. So but now we have a as a common factor, so we can take a as a common factor. So we're going to say we take out a as a common factor, therefore we're going to have a squared divided by a, which will give us a. And therefore we're going to say negative 4a divided by a, that will give us minus 4. Then all this is divided by the denominator because the denominator cannot be factorized. So that is a minus 4. So we can see that the a minus 4 is going to cancel out with the bottom and the top. Therefore, our answer will just be a. So now, if we look at the next problem, we have 6ab plus 2a all divided by 2b. So now, if we look at the top, can we factorize at the top? Yes, we can factorize by taking out a common factor. But now at the bottom, we just have one term. We can't really factorize. So we're going to start by factorizing at the top. So what is our common factor here at the top? So the common factor is what? The common factor between the coefficients is 2. So 2 is our common factor. But now we also have a variable that is common, which is a. So this means 2a is our common factor. So we are going to say what? 6ab divided by 2a. So 6 divided by 2 is going to give us 3. And the a will cancel out with the a and we're going to remain with b. So this is going to be 3b. And therefore we're going to come to this part to say now 2a divided by 2a. So that is going to give us 1. Remember 2a divided by 2a is 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. And therefore what we have at the bottom is what? Is 2b. So now, is there anything that we can do in this case? So we can only cancel out the coefficients, which is 2. So 2 and 2 will cancel out because if you divide same numbers, they're going to give you 1. So therefore, our answer will just be left out to be what? To be a into 3b plus 1 all divided by b. So this will be our final answer. So now, we can move on to the next problem. Let's say, for example, we have 9x squared minus 16 all divided by 6x minus 8. Remember, I said you need to know how to factorize in different ways. So now, if we look at what we have at the top there, we don't have a common factor. But now what we have is that we have a difference of 2 squares. And you need to know how to factorize a difference of 2 squares. So if we look at the bottom here, we have a common factor, so we can take out a common factor. But let us start first by simplifying what is at the top. So at the top, we have a difference of 2 squares. So remember, when you factorize difference of 2 squares, you open 2 brackets. So you're going to say, what is the square root of the first term? So the square root of 9 is 3, and the square of x will cancel with the square root. So we are just going to have 3x. And then what is the square root of 16? The square root of 16 is 4. So you write 3x and 4 on both sides. And therefore, one side is going to be positive and the other will be negative. So now, if we look at the denominator, we have a common factor, which is how much? Which is 2 in both the terms. So we are going to take out 2 as a common factor. And we say 6x divided by 2. That will give us 3x. And then we say negative 8 divided by 2. That is going to give us how much? It's going to give us negative 4. And then after we do this, we can clearly see that this 3x minus 4 is going to cancel out with the 3x minus 4. And therefore, our solution will be left out to be what? To be 3x plus 4 all divided by 2. So that is how you will simplify that fraction. So now remember, feel free to pause the video and try the problems yourself. So let's say we have t squared minus s squared, all divided by s squared minus 2st plus t squared. So now the first thing that you do, we look at if we can factorize at the top. And then we also look if we can factorize at the bottom. So at the top, what we have is a difference of 2 squares. So this means we can simply factorize that. So let's factorize at the top. So you're going to open 2 brackets. And then remember, you're going to say the square root of this first term, which is going to give us t, and the square root of this second term, which is going to give us s. So we have t and s, but now we put plus and minus. So we have factorized the top, which is a difference of 2 squares. But now if we look at the bottom here, we are having a trinomial. So now, if you want to factorize a trinomial, remember you also open 2 brackets. And then you say that, how can I write the first term, which is s squared? So I can write s squared by what? By x multiplying by s. So now, the second step, you look at what? At the factors of the last term. So the factors of the last term is what? It's just going to be 1t multiplied by 1t. Because now, what we have here is just 1. 1 is, only factors of 1 is 1 multiplied by 1. So that is going to be 1t multiplied by 1t. So now, if we look at the sign of the last term, is plus. So remember, if it is plus, we're going to look for the factors of t squared, that when we add them, they give us the middle term, which is 2. So now, 1 plus 1 is going to give us 2. So these are the right factors that we have. So we're just going to write them to say now, our factors is what? Is 1t and 1t. So 1t, remember, can be written as just tt. So now we look at the sign. The sign is positive. This means that our signs are going to be the same, but we're going to take the sign of the middle term. So this is going to be minus and minus. So therefore, there are factors that are supposed to cancel out. But now, the way that we have our factors, we can clearly see that they cannot cancel out. But now we have to change this here to be the same as these factors here. So how do we do that? So we're going to say that we drop everything at the top, so which is t plus s into t minus s. So now at the bottom here, if we want to change the signs of what we have inside, we take out negative as a common factor. And if we take out negative as a common factor, what was positive is going to be negative, and what was negative is going to be positive. So this will change to be t minus s. So do you see the negative out here? It has changed the sign of what was inside. And therefore, you're just going to continue to write what we have there, which is s minus t. So now, this thing here will cancel out with that thing. And therefore, our answer will just simplify to be what? It will just simplify to be the t plus s at the top, all divided by negative s minus t that is remaining at the bottom. So this will be the answer for our problem. So now let us look at the next problem. So if we have x squared minus 2x minus 15, all divided by 5x minus 25. Can you please pause and try the problem? So what we are going to do is that we are going to look if we can factorize at the top. So now looking at the top, we just have a trinomial, and this trinomial can be factorized. And to factorize a trinomial, you open 2 brackets. And then you say that, how can I write x squared? So you're going to write x squared by saying x multiplied by x. And then you're going to look for the factors of the last term, which is 15. So what are the factors of 15? Is 1 and 15. And then you say 15 divided by 3, that is going to be what? 3 and 5. And these are the only factors of 15 that we have. So but now we're going to look for the factors of 15 that when we subtract them, because the sign is negative, they're going to give us 2. So those factors has to be 5 and 3, because if you say 5 minus 3, you will get 2. So those are the factors that we pick. So we're just going to write them randomly, say 3 and 5. But now remember, if the sign is negative, you are going to have different signs. But now the bigger number will take the sign of the middle term. So the 5 is going to be negative and the 3 will be positive. That is how we factorize at the top. And then if we look at the bottom here, how can we factorize? We can factorize by taking out a common factor. So the common factor that we have is 5. So if we take out 5 as a common factor, it's going to be 5x divided by 5. That is going to be x. And therefore, you're going to say what? Negative 25 divided by 5, which is going to give you what? Negative 5. And therefore, we can see that we can cancel this out. Remember, if you don't know how to factorize, please look at the previous videos that I have done on different ways to factorize. So the answer that we will get here is just going to be x plus 3 all divided by 5. So this will be the final answer to our problem. So this is all that we have for this video. Thank you very much.